because one of the questions or conversations I seem to be having with a lot of people, Daryl, you and I talked a little bit about this earlier. Kelly and I have talked about this. It's like we're so off of everything right now in terms of, we'll use the word that Carmen just used, mojo, off our game in terms of our regular scheduled programming, if we will. And I know for a lot of us that anytime something happens, it takes us off track of our regular eating habits, our regular sleeping habits, our regular workout habits. For me, it's definitely taken me off track for that a ton. And so I wanted to give you some tips and pointers tonight that I actually do a lot to help me regain my path. And some of them may work better for you than others, but I wanted to share with you several of them. And you may have something that works for you or somebody else in your household or somebody else that you know. But the first thing that I wanted to kind of touch on is when I start to feel like I am completely overwhelmed, the first thing that I have to go back to all the time in order for me to feel more rested, more grounded, to sleep better is some sort of nighttime pattern. Some of you might already have this and be much better than me at this and have your own routines. And some of you may need to find a routine that works better for you at this point. So I need to start things of a winding down kind of situation within an hour of going to bed. So I have a certain kind of routine that I do. Some of you know that I stay up really late. Daryl is a very early to bed person in comparison to me. Carmen is a very early to bed person in comparison to me. And Kelly and I are still texting at 11 o'clock at night, and we just got home a little while ago, or just, snacked on peanut butter or something. So I know I can always count on her for conversation late in the evening. So some of the things that I've started to go back to, because my brain is just so full right now, and I'm kind of on overload, and I know we all are, and I can't imagine if you have a household of children or family members where everybody's energy is kind of constant. And I know, Kelly, we were just talking about World War III in your house over dessert, and I know that's more common in a lot of households than not at this point. It's like I was hearing all this good stuff about together time and families and having dinner together, and now people are starting to get to the point where they're no longer smiling and they're ready to kill their kids or tie them up somewhere or like send them outside to play in somebody else's yard or send their husband someplace else or find something else to do with themselves, whether it's just drive around the neighborhood or run an errand that doesn't need to be run just to get out of the house. So I know we're kind of all at that breaking point, and we're all ready for the doors, quote unquote, to open back up in the world, to go back to the way it was before for us in terms of life. But one of the things I've started to do is I've gone back to coloring. You may have seen a few posts or heard me say that before. So at night, I find that there's a couple of things that work best for me to clear my head. One is a download dump. And what I mean by that is I have a journal. Actually, I have it right next to me. Oh, wait. This is a plug. This is a plug. It's in my bag. This is my favorite journal. It is my Sacred Lotus Love journal. Darrow is smiling because she has been the recipient of a journal. And Carmen's company made these journals. So this is a plug for Carmen. And you can see that I obviously have stuff in it because I use it all day long. And I have two kinds of things that I do with my journals. I have one that is basically my to-do list. That is my download dump of everything I need to do. And I am not successful at putting things in my phone and feeling like they're cleared out of my head. There's something for me very significant about having pen to paper and literally seeing the information come out of my head onto the paper. That for me works best. Typing on a computer or putting stuff in my phone for something like that doesn't work for me at all. It doesn't make me feel like I've had that kind of clarity. So before I go to bed every night, I do this download dump of things that I need to do the next day, whether they're personal, like paying bills, or professional, returning a phone call, or something that I need to do for my own workout. Whatever the situation is, I have two different pages going, and I have to have that download dump. So I get that information out of my head, so I'm no longer going to bed worried about, oh my God, did I do this? Did I write this down? Am I going to do this tomorrow? When am I going to fit this in? I feel like I've cleared that kind of out of my system. And then through the day, what I do for my organization, which is probably very different than you all, is I just write notes like, I put I wrote the word text and I needed to text the person, or an E for email, or I put a check mark with a circle around it when I've actually completed that task or crossed it off. So I have that for every single day. And it really helps me get rid of that thought process of before bed, or did I finish this, or do I need to do this? The next thing that I've been doing is, like I said, the coloring book. And the coloring book that I use is actually a positive affirmation coloring book. And on one side, it has all of these different things that you can incorporate into a meditation or into your life, or little assignments. And on the other side, there are these words like awakening or curiosity or growth or something along those lines. And we all have our methodologies for coloring, and whether you choose to stay in the lines or not is totally up to you. But I find something very cathartic about just kind of coloring and not having to really think. And I really don't think about what color is supposed to be where. I have my pencils. I should have a picture of all this on my den, on my ottoman, in a little cute little jar, and my coloring book sitting on top of the ottoman. And I will close my eyes and pick like 4 or 5 colors, and I will use those 4 or 5 colors through the whole page. And then I don't have to think about it. I don't make any other decisions about it other than just grabbing those pencils and coloring. And there's just something for me, very relaxing about that. You may have your own thing. It might be a word search. It might be reading. It might be drawing pictures or painting or something else. But I find something to do with my hands, other than going back to the refrigerator for the 4th time, very, very helpful, because otherwise I want to graze, because that's a bad habit of mine that I've tried to kick through the years, especially with all the bodybuilding stuff. But I find that when I'm tired or frustrated or bored or stressed, that I want to go back to eating the raw nuts, or I want a protein bar, another protein bar, or back to the peanut butter jar with rice cakes or something. And the cucumbers and celery sticks don't always cut it. I mean, I try, but that's not what's cutting it right now. Daryl's apple challah would be great, but we're not going to go there right now. But yeah, so those 2 things I find to be super, super helpful. The other thing is from a product standpoint. And for me, I don't usually have a problem sleeping or staying asleep, but Rick and Zoe snore. Finley has his own bedroom. And so some of you already know this, and I'm sure Carmen can attest to this too. One of the things I do every night is I use Pure Rest from USANA. It's a high-grade melatonin. I have to do that about an hour before bed in order to wind myself down and feel like I'm getting that restful sleep. Because for me, I don't ever sleep 8, 9, 10 hours a night. I just don't. And even when given the opportunity for my body to do that, the longest I can sleep is about 7.5 to 8 hours. And then I can't do anymore. And when I do longer, my body aches afterwards. I just can't get my act together, and all of that just kind of feels super tight. I know a lot of people who take baths before bed. And I know when Rick was doing that for quite a period of time, there was a particular Epsom salt that he really, really liked that was very detoxifying. I know some people drink tea before bed. One of my other favorite products that has been created by Carmen that she's had next to her is her tea tumbler. And I know I've gifted that to a few people as well. And so one of my favorite teas is a hibiscus tea that I really, really like. It's decaffeinated. It's pink, so God help you, don't drop it on anything that's white. Been there, done that. It doesn't come out very easily. But it's really high in antioxidants. It tastes great. And I've done that either with sparkling water and mixed the 2 together with a little lime in a nice little wine glass. Or I've done it just hot tea as well. So that's a really good one that I love. A couple other things that I've done before bed that I'm going to share with you as well and teach you how to do is some of the breathing techniques. And so this is one of the things that I find most helpful out of anything. And I've done this in the Regen class a couple of times. And there's a couple of different techniques that I've worked with people when we're dealing with stress reduction. And I'm going to give you a couple that are really easy right now because we're all in a seated position. And there are others that I really like from a laying down position. So what I want you to take a moment to do And this could be so super helpful for even friends and family. Kids do really well with this as well to kind of calm them back down again. And so what I want you to do to start off with, just to recognize how you're breathing right now, is just take one hand to your upper chest area and one hand to your belly. And just, sitting as you usually are, my feet are flat on the floor and I'm sitting back against my chair back. And I just want you to breathe normally. You can keep your eyes open or keep your eyes closed, whatever you want to do. And as you're breathing in your normal kind of breath, just recognize and pay attention to, where does your breath travel to? Are you noticing that you feel more breath just at your throat and upper chest? Do you feel more breath travel down to your belly? Are you noticing the chest rise and fall as you breathe? Do you notice that your belly button pooches forward and returns back as you breathe? Or nothing? Okay. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to take your hands to your upper rib cage. And I don't know if you can really see me at the moment, but I have mine kind of below my sports bra here at the ribs. And as you inhale and exhale, I want you to just recognize and notice whether or not there's any breath traveling laterally into your rib cage as you inhale and then again as you exhale. And one more breath here. And the next thing I want you to do is to take your hands and kind of cover your mouth and or your nose or both. And I want you to notice whether or not during your breathing, if you tend to breathe more in and out through your nose, in nose, out mouth, or if you're a mouth breather and you're breathing predominantly through your mouth, even with your mouth closed. So for me, especially when I'm working out, I inhale through my nose and I exhale through my mouth, which allows my jaw, the mandible, to relax and allows the scalenes and the sternocleidomastoid for me to relax a little bit. I find that if I breathe only through my nose, the tendency for me to set my jaw and clench is greater, and I have TMJ, so I do that a lot anyway, which means that I also elevate the trapezius and I get a little bit grippy, to say the least, in my neck, and then very grippy in the front of the shoulder, the anterior delt and pec. And so everything starts to feel like I'm pulling in, almost like I'm hiding and protecting and closing versus things feeling very open. Okay, so I'm going to give you two breathing techniques to kind of play with to see whether or not they feel any more open and relaxing for you. So the first thing I want you to do is to keep one hand, and I tend to put my right hand at my upper chest and your left hand at your belly. And if you want to close your eyes, I find this to be extraordinarily helpful. And this is sometimes how I fall asleep. And if you ask Rick, he'll tell you I look like a mummy when I'm sleeping. So this is predominantly why. So as you inhale, what I want you to do is I want you to inhale through the nose and allow your breath to travel all the way down to your belly. And then as you exhale, I want you to exhale through your mouth as if you're fogging up a mirror and relaxing the jaw. Let's do that 3 or 4 more times. So inhale through your nose and then exhale through your mouth. And again, inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And again, inhale and exhale. Now I want you to change the hand position, and I want both hands to go through your rib cage. I'd like you to draw your navel to your spine. Again, you can have eyes open and closed, up to you. And as you inhale and exhale, I want you to feel the ribs expand as you inhale, and then exhale and let the ribs come back together. Inhale, expand out. Exhale to come back in. Inhale, expand out. Exhale back in. Let's do 2 more here. Inhale, expand out. Exhale back in. Last time, inhale. And exhale. And allow your eyes to open again. So without even doing anything else, what you may start to notice, and you can either raise your hand, nod, what have you, is that something has relaxed a little bit more, whether it's the neck or shoulders or jaw, where you feel like you've had the opportunity to kind of open the wingspan up and breathe a little bit more. Maybe your back body feels a little bit warmer or more relaxed. And the next thing I'm going to have you do in a seated position, and this is something that I actually do at night as well, is there's a couple of stretches that I do a lot of. And because I tend to get grippy through here, and you may as well, which again pulls us into that protective mode, draws everything inwards, makes it harder for us to relax and get into a better sleep. So I'm going to have you reach your hands down at the side of your chairs. Now, if you're like me, the arm of my chair, it's an office chair, and so the arm of my chair is kind of right next to me. Yours might be lower, and if you have a place to rest your hands lower next to you, that's great. And so what I want you to do is press your right hand down toward the floor as much as you can. Tip your head slightly back to the back wall and take your ear to your shoulder. As you push your right hand down, tip your ear to your left shoulder and keep reaching that right hand to the floor as far as you possibly can. And then gently bring it back up. And now you're going to turn your head to that same side. Reach your right hand to the floor again. And if you're not in contact with anything, make your little finger your longest finger and draw your chin down this way. And then come back up and go to center, and let's go to the other side. So I'm going to reach my left hand down. I'm going to take my right ear to my right shoulder. And if you want more resistance, you can bring your hand over the opposite hand. And now I'm going to reach the left fingertips down to the floor. My head is to the back wall, and I'm adding a little resistance to that. And then I'm going to come back up. And now I'm going to rotate my head over my right shoulder. Again, reaching my left hand down and tipping downward again. And then coming all the way up and coming back to center. Nice. And so if you're anything like me, even just those small stretches in the neck make me feel a little bit more open and relaxed here. Anyone feel anything in their neck and shoulders when you do those stretches? Good. Another one is take your hands behind your head at the base of your skull and the thumbs down the sides of your neck. I want you to feel the elbows in relationship to the armpits. And what I'd like you to do is draw your chin slightly down and then gently press your head against your hands to create traction. And press up as you gently press down simultaneously. Now I'm going to have you sit up even more, so you're sitting very vertical in your chair. Inhale here, and as you exhale, begin to curl the body down as if you're taking your forehead and your nose toward your pubic bone. And then restack your spine back up. I'm going to have you do that 2 more times. Inhale, and on the way up, think of lifting the chest and find that stretch all the way out, and then exhale down. So if you're somebody who carries a lot of stress in their upper neck and shoulder girdle, this stretch in the evening can be very helpful. And or if you wake up in the morning and you find that you've been, I don't know, not sleeping the most comfortable of positions, shall we say, this can be a great stretch to do seated on the side of the bed before you get out. And by adding that little bit of extension, you should feel some sort of a stretch through that front of the body as well. And then go ahead and come back down. Roll those shoulders up to your ears and go ahead and shrug them back a couple of times. So is anyone feeling a little bit more open in their neck and shoulders at this point? And if so, yes, no, maybe. Okay, so from here, what I want you to do is just kind of notice where you are in your chair. Notice if you're feeling any more upright in your spine. Notice if your jaw and neck and shoulders are any more relaxed. And so this is a couple of things these are a couple of things that you can incorporate at night. And especially if you have a household of other people in there and you're starting to notice that they're getting very tense or wound up or overreactive to something, you can have them sit in a chair and do some of these stretches, or have them recognize where their breath is, because most of us don't pay attention to that unless we need to, or we're in Pilates and being told how to breathe, or in yoga or something like that. Another thing that I find really helpful in terms of falling asleep and staying asleep. Yes, I mean, melatonin can be really helpful for certain people. Like I said, I take Pure Rest and I find that helpful. I find the habits to be helpful. What am I doing to fall asleep at night? What habits can I create? What can I change to allow myself a little bit more freedom in my brain? Because I get so locked up in there, like a lot of us do, especially if you have a type A personality, that if I don't find ways to release that stress, I'm never going to be able to fall asleep easily. Something else that I tend to do an awful lot of, and like I said, Rick is an Epsom salt person in a bath. I'm a hot shower person. But there are these great bath cubes or shower cubes you can throw in there that are aromatherapy oil. And if you're somebody who likes a scent, then that can be very helpful. So the power of scent, whether it's aromatherapy oils or soy candles or something like that nature, if that works for you, then great. That's another one of those things, whether tea works for you or something else. So it can be part of the habit of lighting a candle before you go into a shower or lighting a candle before you start your breath work. There's an app that I really like, and I'm going to take you through a short guided meditation. I'm going to show you a picture of this app, and I've used it off and on for years. It's called Insight Timer, if you're not familiar with it. And it looks like a meditation bowl, if I can find it on my phone. And it's black, and the bowl is like a nice little sound bowl, basically. And the reason I like that particular app more than some of the other ones is that you can have somebody guide you through a meditation. You can follow along with other people. You can have just music or sounds. You can set just a chime or bell for a period of time. And or you can join in a group meditation that's happening in different parts of the world or country. I like just some of the guided meditations that I've used through the years, and there's all different types. 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and then you don't have to think about anything. You can turn it on and just kind of follow the directions. I find that really helpful for nights when I'm really kind of struggling to get out of my own head and my own meditation work isn't working, then I will turn that on and I find that to be super helpful. So that one's Insight Timer. And I've used several others, but for some reason I like the options on that one better than some of the others I've used in the past. And they have all the chimes and things of that nature too. Another thing that I find really, really helpful if I am, and I have been in an environment where it's been either very chaotic, very stressful, or very negative, is saging my space. And I don't know if you have experience doing that. I do it at the studio quite a bit, and I do it at our house as well. In fact, I need to do it again. And so I have personally an abalone shell at the studio and at the house, and I like sage. There's other products that you can use, but I will find a smudge stick of a particular one that I like the most, and I always create or look up some sort of mantra that works for me at that time. Something to help me find balance or clarity or just clearing the negative energy out of a space. I will sage myself first. So I'm sure you might be familiar with saging, but you're looking for that smoke. And the theory is behind saging, it's used in Native American traditions, or was, to clear energy or space for something that was kind of sacred. And I know every religion under the sun has some sort of methodology for this as well. But for me, I just find it very cleansing to open up all the windows, turn on the fans, kind of sage myself first, repeating whatever the mantra is at the moment. It might just be give me strength for whatever I need to do next, or help me find joy again, or whatever the situation might be. And then always walking around, and I'm always saging the corners and behind doors and under desks and cell phones and computers and anything that I want to kind of change the vibration or change the energy of. I will sage and open up all the doors and let all that kind of negative energy go out the window. And so that's something I also find really helpful. I won't do it at night, but if I've been finding that the environment has been very heavy and I'm continually having problems relaxing, releasing stress, finding better sleep, then I will definitely do that. Another thing that can be really helpful, and this is something that Rick does way more than me, is finding a different place in the house to sleep. So he is really good at falling asleep on the sofa or in the guest room or on the floor with the dogs. And he's not so good about falling asleep in the bed because for him, that's too stressful. It's kind of like there's an assumption. You get ready, you go to bed, you're supposed to sleep. And if you're having a tough time falling asleep, that can be a struggle. But there's something kind of freeing about, I'm just going to lay down here on the sofa, or I'm going to go to the guest room, or I'm going to fall asleep, I'm in the room with the massage chair in Finn's room, or something else, or fall asleep on the floor. He'll do that sometimes. He'll take his own blanket and his pillow and go to sleep on the floor next to the bed. And so maybe that's a good option for people, that there's too much of an expectation of go to bed, fall asleep, everybody else is sleeping in bed, but that might not work for you that night. And so trying to fall asleep someplace else can be a very healthy option to give you a new perspective and or take the pressure off or break a cycle that you maybe haven't been able to do because there's so much other stuff on your mind. One of the other things that I've found helpful that I've mentioned before is meditation. And I am by no means the leading expert in meditation. What I like to do is take a journey. So for the same reason that you might want to read a really good book or get tuned into an excellent movie or find something to kind of occupy your mind and bring you someplace else, the guided meditations that I've always liked to do are things that bring me on a journey. And I told this story during one of the regen classes that I learned how to do this at sleepaway camp. And actually, it might have even been Natacook, Daryl. So in the dorm, that I was in, there were several girls on one side, or the bunk, I should say, and then several girls on the other side, and there was bathrooms in the center, toilets in the center. Or was it? Yeah, it was toilets, because showers were in another building. And one of the camp counselors would sit kind of between the two sides of girls at night. And I don't remember her name or anything else, but she would lead us on these kind of journeys or visuals, what you say. Now I know it was meditation, but back then I didn't know what it was. I just knew that we were being taken somewhere and I would fall asleep. And it was something that, I was 13 at the time, and it's something that's always stuck with me. So I'm going to lead you on a journey. So you have a couple of options now. If you want to stay seated, stay seated. If you want to lay down on the floor or the chair or wherever you are, feel free. But also know that closing your eyes would be really helpful for this, and being in a position that relaxes you, whatever that is, curled up on the sofa, legs crossed, legs straight, whatever works for you is great. So what I'd like you to do is just, if you are sitting in a chair, find a place of grounding for yourself and allow your eyes to close. And as I count, and up to 4, I want you to inhale. And then when I count backwards, I want you to exhale. We're going to do that a couple of times. So you're going to inhale for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. And inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And as you inhale and exhale, I want you to notice that you're sitting on the beach. It's a clear day. The sun is shining. There's a gentle breeze. If you need it, there's an umbrella behind you. And as your feet touch the sand and your hands touch the sand, you notice your gaze out on the water. You notice your breath starting to soften. You notice your body start to relax. You hear the sounds of the water. You notice and recognize that really, you're the only one in this spot. Everything that you were doing the moment before, the book, the magazine, the radio, music, podcast, whatever, falls away from you as you just start tuning in to the sound of the water lapping against the beach, the feeling of the sun being warm on your skin, the breeze blowing, the familiar smell of the beach and the water. And as you notice your gaze softening and noticing the water lapping along the side, you notice some fish swim by. You notice the breeze staying constant. All of a sudden you notice a flower floating across the water. Wasn't there a minute ago, but now it is. It's white, not really sure what kind. It has a lot of petals on it. And it's just floating. You notice your eyes fixate on the flower. You notice the water and the sun, the warmth, the smell of the ocean, the feeling of the sand. Notice the ease of your body. And as you notice this flower, you notice how light the body starts to feel. It's like you're floating. And as you start to breathe even deeper, but in a soft kind of way, I want you to take all of those things, those notes that keep us up at night, the thoughts that travel in our brain. I want you to put them all on that flower, that download dump. For every petal, there's a thought. And then as you start to assign each thing to that flower, you notice even more lightness in the body. You notice your shoulders start to relax. You notice your jaw soften. You notice your chest rise and fall even deeper with your breath. You feel more space in the ribs. While you feel more grounded underneath you, you start to notice the lightness in your body. And as you start to notice this lightness and this ease traveling through your body, and the energy that's traveling through your body, you start to tune in instead of out. You notice your breath becoming deeper and your jaw becoming more relaxed. You notice or feel your eyes close. Kind of enjoying the moment just for you. The wind starts to blow and you notice a scent, something different than before, but it catches your attention. So you start to open your eyes and notice that that flower that was floating in front of you has disappeared. Your body feels light and relaxed, and you start to allow your eyes to fixate on the water again. And just noticing that everything you were thinking about before doesn't seem relevant. It's not as heavy. The arms feel lighter. You're breathing deeper. And as you allow the eyes to open, and look forward at that water and feel that sun and smell the scents of the beach. There's an ease and a lightness that you feel through your whole body, from the soles of your feet to the crown of your head. And as you allow the eyes to open and kind of watch the water and find those scents, you allow the body to start move and stretch, moving your hands, wiggling your toes, stretching the arms, moving your head and neck and shoulders, and kind of recognizing where you are in space. And as you inhale and exhale deeply through the mouth, 3 more times here. Inhale and exhale. Again, in and out. And again, in and out. And the next one, take a large inhale and a big, huge exhale out. And allow the eyes to open and feel where you are. Just notice how your body feels. If there's any more ease anywhere. Or if you're ready to go to sleep. And allow yourself to relax. Oh, you're smiling now, Daryl. So everybody kind of shrug your shoulders up and exhale, let it go. So for some of my meditations, I like going on a journey. And I find it helpful to kind of disassociate from where I am at that moment and allow, instead of the download dump maybe on that piece of paper, allowing an object to kind of carry it away. I've done the same thing actually going to the beach and writing a download dump or whatever's been bothering me into a letter, because I know paper disintegrates in water, and bringing it to the ocean. I've been known to burn things, right? I don't mean objects, I mean letters. So if I've written something down in that download dump and I don't want that energy anymore and I need to release something or relax into something else, I've burned that piece of paper before as well, in a safe place. And had that help quite a bit too for kind of releasing energy or releasing stress and finding ways to kind of cut those ties. What do you say? So between having tea at night, maybe stop eating even earlier and not allowing ourselves to graze as much, that's for me. Going to bed maybe a little earlier, or finding a different, allowing it to be okay to find a different space to fall asleep in. You can build yourself a fort. I won't tell anybody. You can grab all the blankets from the other rooms and build a tent. It's just fine. You might have to fight the kids or your husband for it, or the dog, but hey, it works. I may have a conversation if I find you sleeping in the dog bed, that like crate. Leave that for Rick. What else? The journaling, the baths or hot shower, finding new habits to allow yourself to fall asleep, and allowing yourself the opportunity to take time to breathe. All of these things can be very helpful at creating new patterns and finding better quality of sleep, or at least relaxation. If you want, I will post the coloring book that I use because I really, really like that one more than some of the others I found. I'll post the Epsom salt one that we really like. Like I said before, the melatonin can be helpful for some people, but really finding new patterns and habits to allow you to relax and decompress, or finding old traditions that maybe you want to pull out again, like the guided meditations or going on a journey. So I'm going to unmute everybody. And if you have anything else that you want to add or share that works for you, that maybe will help me or somebody else, that would be awesome. Or if you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask those as well. Okay, you are all officially unmuted at the moment. So does anybody else have any other tips, things they'd want to share, things that you use, things that you've tried? Daryl, you look more relaxed. Are you breathing?
Yeah, I'm tired.
I know it's bedtime for you.
It is bedtime for me. I've been up since 2:30, so my problem isn't getting to sleep, it's staying asleep.
So anybody else ever have that issue? And Kelly, what do you do when you have that happen to you?
Well, I think I try to just not get up if I can help it, because I find like once I get up and I try not to look at my phone or, to have any bright lights, because, once my phone is flipped over, like the screen comes on, it kind of like, I don't know, signals to get up and get going.
For sure.
Yeah.
So do you just kind of try and roll over and go back to sleep?
Yeah, kind of. Or like sometimes I do it where you like tense, you start at your toe, or start at your toes and work your way up, and you kind of hold like without giving yourself a Charlie horse, just think about
release.
Yeah, or sometimes I'll try to think of something that every letter of the alphabet, like A is for apple, B is for, and go through the list if it's all fruits, or I usually make it to like P, and then I'm just falling back.
I'll try that.
I know. It can be like a sign of, either blood sugar sometimes, like if you have like a little bit of erratic blood sugar, or hormones, unfortunately. Yeah.
Usually I get up to go to the bathroom and then I start thinking, and that's the problem.
Oh yeah, don't think, Daryl. Whatever you do, don't think.
Overthinking is good.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody else have any other things that they do if they can't sleep? Carmen, you're in so many time zones all the time. I would imagine that there have been times where you have not slept very well.
Yeah, I don't know about using it in the middle of the night, but I find to fall asleep, I learned this trick at a retreat where you just count off things you're grateful for on your fingers. And usually by the time I get to 3, I fall asleep. And the science behind it is that when you think about something you're grateful for, your body relaxes. And then that's what actually helps you sleep. And I find that and the melatonin are like my go-tos.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I usually do my gratitude stuff at night and in the morning. Lately, I find that I've just been doing it in the morning. So thank you for that reminder because I definitely find when I'm doing the breath work, and I've always started with today I'm grateful for or whatever, and then that list of whatever it is. I always find that to be really helpful too. Another trick without sounding too wooey, I mean, I've already talked about sage and everything else, so everything is wooey at this point, is when I fall asleep, I don't know if I've ever talked about this out loud, but one of the things that I try and do is kind of find the white light, and I will allow my eyes to close, not so heavy, but heavy enough where you can kind of create this light inside yourself, like behind your eyes almost, and breathe into it. So I use a white light. You could use yellow or blue or any other kind of color, but I kind of breathe into the light. And I find that if I can focus on that and just working my breath that way, that I can find really helpful too. Just as another vantage point of something else to think about. Anybody have any questions on anything? Any other tips or pointers that could be helpful?
When you talked about coloring books, it's something I've loved doing, but I just never have time. But of course now I have more time, so it's puzzles, and that's so relaxed. It's like my meditation, but it's probably very similar to coloring.
Like tiny little pieces, lots of pieces, or is there a certain kind of one?
Right now, actually, and this is so funny, like anywhere online, every puzzle store is sold out. So right now I just have my 1,000. Yeah, the toy store that I went to, it had like, cartoon kids puzzles.
Sure.
But the one I have right now is 1,000. So fairly small, but not inordinately small. And that I find at night just really relaxes me. Or during the day if I just need a break. because
Yeah.
it's you're doing something with your hands, but you're not
Yeah.
really thinking. So you can just
I,
kind of
I
zone
have a
off.
hard time reading when I'm really stressed out. I know, Daryl, that's a go-to for you, but I have a really hard time with like reading a book or something like that and holding my attention when I'm like over the top and really tired or overthinking and overstressed. I can't get into it. And so I like things like that. I haven't done a puzzle in a long time, but the coloring or the tactile kind of
Yeah.
non-thinking thing,
Yeah.
I've been relying on that a little bit more for sure.
My
Anybody else been doing
kids
puzzles or painting?
okay. I said my kids.
Yeah, Kelly, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Your kids are do
Can
you
you hear
play
me?
puzzles? Is that what you said?
Yeah, no, they use a weighted blanket.
Oh, like the thunder blankets, that kind of
My
stuff.
daughter does too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And do they sleep better with it?
Yeah. It helps for growing pains, like legs growing pains.
I am not
Oh,
aware of that. Why?
It's something about the pressure,
Okay.
positive pressure. Yeah.
Interesting. I was not aware of that. Love learning new things.
and a lot of
Gabriella
adults.
has a blanket, a weighted blanket.
Gabriella does.
Huh. Maybe that's what I need to get Rick.
Yeah.
Do either Kelly and Daryl do you use it as well? 'Cause I
I've
know a
used
lot of
it.
adults like it.
I haven't. I don't know why I haven't. Just probably because it's upstairs in her room.
Yeah.
Try it tonight. See what happens.
That's not me, is it? Like no one is in my room, so that's not me. I don't know. No, I just said that I use it. I find that I sleep really well with it.
Do you?
Yeah. Like
And it's not hot.
no, I have like the Cool Max one where it's like cooling. The beads
Okay.
that are in it are supposedly the cooling ones. I do get really hot.
That's a good idea. Maybe a good gift for someone. Well,
That's a whole thing about sleep, a cooler room, or I'll put my feet outside of the blanket
I do that too.
and that cools me down and I fall asleep and then you just, pull them back in.
Our house, well, you've slept in our house. Our house is pretty chilly at night, so I can't sleep if it's too hot. We also have an air filter in our bedroom. That's a fan and an air filter, so I find that to help my sleep too. Between the air filter and then the sound of the fan for us works. I don't know, for somebody else, a white noise can be helpful. And I know Rick will sometimes fall asleep with his music going too. It unfortunately is on repeat of the same song, so it's moments where I really hope he has his headset in, but or that it's someplace I could shut it off as soon as he falls asleep. No, but well, hopefully this gives everybody a little bit more insight as to, or tips, or pointers, or options. Donna, do you have any sleep tips?
I think of nothing. I have a sound machine, white noise,
Yep.
cold room, dark room, and then if my brain starts going, I just think of nothing. I have to just totally clear it, like let go of every thought. And that seems to work for me. And the gratitude that I didn't recognize that was what I was doing, but if I do that, I fall asleep.
Yeah.
That works. Now I've acknowledged what it is, but that seems to work too.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. Well, thank you, girls, for sharing with me all of your stuff as well. I get to practice some of that. And hopefully you have a little bit more to play with tonight in terms of whether it's breathing or gratitude or tea or whatever, the download dump, a hot bath, a blanket. Go grab Gabriella's blanket tonight. You can find it for it. I might order one of those myself.
Thank you.
For the house.
Me too.
And I will see you all next week
Thank
for
you.
What's Now, What's Next with Carmen. And we'll have some more information to share with you then. We'll be posting some things this week that everybody can share too. So that'll be another one that everybody's welcome to pass off to whoever they want to. And I am grateful for the opportunity to connect with you all and be a part of your Friday evening and share. So sharing some tips and information and all of that kind of stuff. So
Thank you for
you.
Thank you.
It's really, and it's so nice to meet everyone too.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. Bye, Amy.
Bye, sweetie. Bye, everybody. I will see you all soon.
Bye,
Either class
Donna. Bye,
tomorrow or
Kelly.
sometime
Bye,
next
Daryl.
week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.